So yeah, I think, let's see, it's 11:03. Why don't we all get started? And I'll let our chair of our Military Affairs Committee, Keith Merritt, take it away. Go ahead, Keith.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming to our first ever fireside chat at the Chamber office with Chamber President David Bach and Puakaloa Training Area Garrison Commander Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Cronin. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Keith Merritt, and I am the Military Affairs Committee Chair. And basically our role with the Military Affairs Committee is to support the military in the state and especially on the island. So that pretty much means PTA. We serve as a liaison between the business community and the military here. We also help advise PTA on things that they might want to know about the community and things like that. So you guys are all welcome to join the Military Affairs Committee. If you're interested, just contact Taylor or Miles at the office and they can get you signed up. With that, we're going to turn it over to our Chamber President and editor and publisher of the Tribune and Herald, David Bach. Take it away, David.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it very much. Mahalo, everyone, for joining us today on this Friday. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today. We have a very special guest with us. We'll be interviewing him in a minute. But first, I want to get on to some chamber business, and then we'll go ahead and adjourn and get to our conversation with Commander Cronin, which will be fun. The idea with that is to just get to know him better. So we're going to keep it light. We'll talk about some serious stuff, but keep it pretty casual. So with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order and provide a couple updates to you guys on some things that the Chamber's been doing that we're very proud of. The first item is the Chamber during COVID, the height of COVID, reached out and got a PPP loan, and the good news is that has been forgiven. It was $22,000. That really helped us get through some tough times. Of course, also thanks to Miles and Taylor for their leadership, but that has been forgiven, so that's great news. So that's one item. Another item that we're working on right now, you know, our healthcare workers have been on the front lines for way too long during this thing, and we wanted to try to figure out a way as an organization to mahalo our healthcare workers, right? And we found we're pursuing two different angles for that. One is we want to have a concert available island-wide. All healthcare workers, really everyone who wants to participate can participate in this concert. It's going to be November 6th. It's going to be broadcast out of Naleo, Hawaii TV studio. We have some great local music entertainers that'll be with us. And we want to do that specifically to mahalo the healthcare workers who have been doing this too. I can't imagine sticking a swab up somebody's nose for 2 years straight. It's pretty amazing. We didn't think it would get to that, but here we are, still doing that. So mahalo to them. And then the second part of that is we are collecting some donations and other things to try to provide some gifts to about 1,500 healthcare workers in the East Hawaii region that includes Hilo Medical Center. So we're working on that. We'll put more details out there for you guys and encourage you all to participate if you can. So concert plus some goodies that will deliver specifically to our healthcare workers. And that one will include really everybody that we can. So not just the front line, but also administrators and you know, it takes so many people to get us through this thing and keep us safe. So that's the second item I wanted to bring up and update you guys about. The third one is pretty cool. We have a goal this year of 333 members. So Kapai Comstock on the membership committee has been working on that. So we're trying to hit that goal, 333 for the next fiscal year. We have a contest going on. So if you bring in a new member, you're eligible for prizes and other goodies. You can call Chamber and get the details on that. But I just want to encourage everybody to help us find some new members. You know, the Chamber has been so important during the past year to keep the business community together, support each other during this tough time. So if you know anybody who you think would benefit from that networking and our support, please consider recommending them for membership. So with that, to that point, I'd like to recognize some new members for the current fiscal year. Very exciting to have you guys. I hope you're on the call. I cannot see who's on the call, by the way. So I'm staring at a camera, guys. So if it's weird, normally I look at little Zoom boxes and I can see who's around, but hopefully some of these new members are on with us today. And I'd like to if Taylor's ready, I'd like to share them with everybody. So Creation Swell Photography, represented by Shannon Herbert. Welcome. International Lunar Observatory. Steve Durst is the director. I'm watching the slides now. Okay, very good. We're keeping up. Hawaiian Airlines, Jasmine Tamanaha. I hope I got her name correctly. Sales executive for Hawaiian Airlines. Metagold Dairies. Baman Siddiqui, the owner. And he came on as a Topaz investor. So big commitment. Really appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, that's terrific, right? Southwest Airlines. They were flirting with us for a while. We're happy to have them. We love it. We had a good presentation with them, 2 years ago now, when they came to visit and they announced their new flights to the Big Island and elsewhere. So Kelly Knox is the lead communications and outreach person representing Southwest, and they're on as a diamond investor. So appreciate you folks at Southwest. That's awesome. Sky Mackay Productions. Sky Mackay Doherty is the owner. Welcome. Appreciate your support. AES Waikoloa Solar. Kristen Punu, Community Engagement Manager. Am I keeping up with you, Miles? Or Taylor, am I going too fast? We're good to go. I got a thumbs up, by the way, so that means we're doing okay. Johnson Kahili IV is on board as an individual member. Welcome, welcome. And Lorena Owings, a CPA, is also a new member this fiscal year. Last but not least, Flutterfly LLC. Amalia Sumi is the owner of that. She's been an active chamber member, so welcome as your new venture there. Appreciate you. Did I get them all, guys? Okay, great. With that, I want to turn to the fun part. Well, let's see. I think we got to conclude the business here first. Yeah, I think with that, we'd like to dispense with any other business, Miles, unless there's something else we need to bring up. So we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting so we can get to the fun part, talk to this gentleman over here. I'm excited about it. He's excited about it, sort of. He's mildly excited about it.
I'm very excited.
I appreciate that. So I want to, so meeting adjourned, by the way. If we didn't take care of that, there's the end of that. Thank you guys again for your participation. And please stay with us as we get to know the commander a little bit here. Now I can see everybody. Hi, everybody. I can see everybody. All right. Hello. All right. Appreciate it. Oh, so weird. It's such a weird thing. Pardon me. So this is the interview portion of the show. So Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Cronin comes to us from Belgium, an assignment in Belgium. I'm not going to read your entire bio because it would take us a week. I mean, it's incredible, honestly. But you were formerly, before coming here and representing us over at PTA, you were the director of operations and director of the Operations and Coordination Center at the NATO Special Operations Headquarters in Belgium. Did I get that right?
That's right.
That sounds like high level, like secret, top secret stuff. And you want to reveal any military secrets in front of the camera at this time? No,
not at this time, Dave.
We're teasing. He has served. This is serious business right here. He has served a variety of overseas assignments, including 4 combat deployments to Afghanistan, 2 to Iraq, other deployments to Qatar, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan. I mean, that is wild stuff. Thank you for serving. We'll get into a little bit about that later on. You have a master in international public policy with a concentration in strategic studies from Johns Hopkins University. You're originally from Connecticut. What's the name of the town?
Norwalk, Connecticut.
Norwalk, Connecticut. Okay. That's right. And you are married to wife Ann. And there's some other developments in your life. You recently had your first child.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about.
So in early May, Ann and I welcomed our first child, Anna, and she's going on 5 months old now. And just incredible.
That's fantastic. And that's right after you got here, so that had to be a lot to deal with.
My wife Ann is a hero. Oh. We call it our moves in the Army are called PCS. Okay. I've got to have an acronym for everything.
Yes, I noticed.
And it's a permanent change of station. And so Ann and I moved all our stuff from Belgium to Hawaii in late March, and Ann was 36 weeks pregnant. So really incredible. And blessed to be with her.
Good for you guys. Well, what a beautiful place to have your child. We're happy to have you guys here with us, and what an experience for her. Having her first couple of years here, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll get on to the trivia part. This again is aimed at getting to know the commander better. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask. We'll get into some more serious stuff about PTA later. But your name is Kevin Cronin. That's correct, right?
That is correct.
Kevin Cronin also happens to be the lead singer of REO Speedwagon, the 80s super pop group. Do people ever confuse you with that Kevin Cronin? And is REO Speedwagon overrated or underrated as an 80s band? This is heavy hitting stuff, folks.
This is good. This is good. Top line news, I think, later tonight. So I didn't know the Kevin Cronin reference till I was a freshman in college, and my professor noted that for me, and I thought it was a cool coincidence. And I think REO Speedwagon is one of the greatest power bands of the 80s and still to this day.
There you go. All right. That's an endorsement right there for REO Speedwagon. I'm going to have to bust out those old CDs if I even have them. Appreciate that. In a mythical world where you could choose a lifelong career as one of the following archetypes, which would you choose and why? So your choices are, and again, this is serious, hard-hitting stuff here: ninja, cowboy, or pirate, and why?
Wow.
It's deep. We go deep. We go deep here.
Ninja, cowboy, or pirate?
Ninja, cowboy, pirate.
Well, my nephew, Max, in Annapolis, Maryland, would definitely want me to say pirate.
Okay.
He would be proud of me for saying that.
So we're going to throw one to him, or are you going to choose one?
I think I'm going with it.
Okay.
Pirate.
Well, why pirate? Share that important fact with the audience.
Obviously a good pirate, like, Dread Pirate Roberts from, The Princess Bride.
Right. Not Johnny Depp style pirate.
One of the greatest pirates of all time.
Okay.
And just the adventure for it. And, and
they see a lot of stuff.
Well, they're like, be unorthodox about
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Appreciate that. Thanks for hanging in there with that. Favorite sports team, and what is it and why is it your favorite sports team? If you have one, I'm assuming you have one. And even favorite sport. What did you say? Spectator sport.
Tough to list just one, David.
Okay.
I love sports and all sports, watching and playing. Huge fan.
Okay.
So gonna throw out the New York Mets. Both my parents grew up in New York City, and growing up in a suburb of New York City in Connecticut. Lifelong Mets fan.
Okay.
Been some lean years, but still committed.
Yeah.
Giants for football.
Okay.
For professional football, my alma mater, West Point, obviously for college football. My wife's alma mater, University of Southern California.
Oh, very good.
So until they play, I can continue to root for both. And moving here, back in the Rainbow Warriors, and always want them to be successful.
Very good. Well, we hope they will. We hope they will. Yeah. Been a rough start for those guys too, getting the program.
I think they'll turn it around.
Yeah. If I told you that Tom Brady was 43 or 44 and he won the Super Bowl last year and he's thrown 9 touchdowns in 2 games this year, would you tell me that I'm smoking too much Pacalola?
No, that's the real deal. I've got to give credit where credit's due. As a Giants fan, Patriots, big rival, Eli and the Giants beat them twice in the Super Bowl.
He likes to tell Eli that all the time. Yeah, remind him of that.
But no, Tom Brady doing what he's doing at his age, he's the GOAT.
It's crazy. It is crazy. I'm a big football fan, by the way, so I brought that. I had to throw that one in. Self-interest. What hobby or interest do you have that we might be surprised to learn? Something you do in your private time.
I would say, so along the sports line, I'm a huge football.
Like fantasy?
European football.
Oh, European. Oh, soccer.
Yeah,
We're talking
soccer.
So
soccer,
the actual football. Yeah.
Huge fan.
Okay.
So whenever Ann and I travel to a country, we're looking to go to one of their professional league games, and I follow it from here. So I think that's an interesting anecdote. And I'll also add, I'm coming from Belgium. I've got a really good Belgian beer collection that I brought with me.
You brought with you?
Yeah.
Is that official? Like you ship the military will ship that for you?
Officially filled out all the paperwork.
I bet there's a bunch of paperwork.
Cleared customs, and
good for you.
So I got a great. I think I would add, unique fact, probably the best Belgian beer collection on the island.
Okay, that's a
state.
that's a throwdown. We'll forget Ryan. We'll have to get Ryan Cadota to
Yeah.
Take a look at this collection at some point. So speaking about Belgium, because that's where you did come from, before you came here. What was amazing about that assignment, or challenging, or different? And then how does that inform your time here, learning a completely different place? I mean, so what was interesting about that assignment, and then how does that inform what you do here for on the Big Island?
All right. So serving in Belgium, I served for NATO, the greatest alliance in history. And I served on the special operations component of NATO. So what was great about that assignment was really, working in that coalition alliance environment, and work, all of my colleagues to my left and right were great professionals from throughout Europe, and it's kind of getting to learn from them, their experiences and their backgrounds, and all working together to make this great, alliance successful. It was a great experience. And so it was beneficial for me, to broaden and develop my perspective on the world and different.
What surprised you about Belgium itself? About, once you got there, learn the people, learn the place. What?
Well, Belgium's, unique because it's, you've got Flanders and Wallonia, and, Flemish spoken in Flanders and French spoken in Wallonia. And then you have the Brussels region. It's a little bit of both depending on where you are. So it's a, unique and interesting to get adjusted to. But it's a wonderful country, lovely, great history. And I say it's got the top 5, Belgian beer, Belgian chocolate, Belgian waffles, Belgian fries, Belgian mussels. I mean, you can't go wrong.
And then the football on top of that, right?
Right,
so,
soccer, yeah.
So coming here, what surprised you about this place? What has taken you by surprise, or you didn't expect after moving here? What's been the acclimation like, and
I wouldn't say surprises, David. Nothing's coming to mind. It's actually been a wonderful transition, and doing no small part to the wonderful community here, and lots of people like Miles, Taylor, Keith, and other individuals from the chamber and throughout the island who welcomed my family and I with open arms. It's very different from Belgium, but I mean, it's kind of expected that. And no, it's been great.
We do have good chocolate though. If you haven't been over to Big Island Candies,
I've dabbled.
It's not that Belgium stuff, but it's pretty good. Back to some soft ones here, or silly ones. Favorite holiday and why?
I'm gonna go with again. I can't just give you one. I gotta go top 3.
Right.
So this is tough. Thanksgiving. I just kind of being able, spend time with family and kind of focusing on what you're thankful for and your blessings. 4th of July is important to me, and St. Patrick's Day is very important to my family.
Why St. Patrick's Day? We got some Irish in there.
That's right. Yeah, my grandparents and great grandparents all from Ireland, and still a lot of relatives there. So it's an important holiday. And then Christmas. I love Christmas, so I'll give you top 4.
Okay, top 4. You can answer any way you want. We're about to hit Halloween. This is another hard-hitting question here. What is the best and worst Halloween candy?
I don't want to offend anyone here.
Oh, I know we don't want to. We don't want to. You can keep it positive. We can go favorite or best.
I mean, I like Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups.
Pretty good.
I'm not a big fan of Peeps. I
Peeps not hanging in there with the Reese's. Okay. Yeah, they're a little weird, aren't they? They got that marshmallowy thing. They got the coating. They got in Hawaii too. The moisture just destroys those things in like 5 minutes too. Yeah. So okay, so
for those I offended, Peep fans, I'm sorry.
So you heard it here first. Peeps suck. That's what the man just said. I'm translating. He won't say it, so I'm saying it for him. We'll delete that part. Let's see.
We're live, right, David?
We are?
Yeah.
This is the rehearsal, I thought. I asked you that one already. So let's see. Back to the Big Island. We have Belgium has all those signature foods, right? The Big Island in Hawaii has lots of signature dishes.
Right.
Have you tried any local grinds, local food? And do you have a favorite? What are you exploring? What are you looking to get to next? Have you done the culinary circuit?
we're on the circuit now and continuing and, you know, having a great time exploring and getting all recommendations from the community of places to try and foods to try. And all the food here is excellent.
No favorites, not leaning toward anything? Loco Moco, have you done that yet?
No, Loco Moco. Yeah. Big. You know, when I'm prepared, I'll do the Loco Moco.
You'd be ready for that. You got to train extra hard after one of those. Yeah, for sure. So on to the more serious stuff, your role here as the PTA commander. What are your priorities? I know the lease extension has been the big thing for a long time, but share your view of what your priorities are for the next 2 years going forward for PTA.
Sure. Thanks, David, for that opportunity. And I'll take, you know, this opportunity to thank the entire chamber and Miles and Taylor and Keith for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the great mission of Waukalo and the great team up there that supports that mission day in and day out. So I'll start with the mission. The mission of Waukalo is to provide combat readiness to the Army, but not just the Army, to the broader Joint Force, because the Marines actually make up almost half of our training throughput at Waukalo. And we're going to soon have about 1,000 Marines up there training for the next month. And then other services like the Air Force and Navy come there to train. So they come to Waukalo to train, and because of the size of Waukalo and the training capabilities that we have up there, they leave more combat ready. And because it's so big, they can maneuver and they can incorporate all sorts of different fires into that maneuver, from, you know, the rifle, obviously, all the way up to the fixed wing jet and bomber. And what that does is it replicates the conditions that those soldiers and Marines, airmen and sailors will find in combat. And the gold standard for training is to, as closely as possible, replicate the conditions of combat. Sure. And that's what we're able to do at Waukalo. It can't be done anywhere else in Hawaii and really the Pacific Basin because of the size. And so that combat readiness contributes to our overall defense posture and national security strategy for the region, because you know, readiness is a key component of deterrence.
Sure.
So the way we support that mission is we facilitate those soldiers, Marines, airmen, and sailors when they come in, providing the garrison support activities, and then we have, you know, so that's the training is a supporting effort to that mission. And then the workforce, like I mentioned, is another supporting effort to that mission. And we have about 230 team members up there who work day in and day out from throughout the island, members of the community who support that mission, and great team. And we're looking to grow that team. And then community is also the key component of that overall mission, because being the military needs to be tied to the community. We can't be a separate entity in and of itself. We need the military comes from the community. Our families are in the community, and the communities in whose name we serve and potentially fight. And the closer we can stay tied to the community, the more important I think it is for everyone. And there's a lot of different ways we do that here. I can highlight.
Oh, please, yeah, give us some.
Yeah, so sure. The soldiers and Marines that come here to train, they every unit that comes here to train engages in a community outreach project, and we have 8 community partners, from the Youth Challenge Academy down in Hilo, to the Girl Scouts, to the Boy Scouts, to traditional farming activities, traditional Paniolo activities, the Civil Air Corps. And so they'll engage in those types of activities when they're here training. The other big thing that we do to stay connected to the community is our first responders up at Waukalo are the first responders for any emergency situation in the Saddle region, essentially from the summit of Mauna Kea to the summit of Mauna Loa to the mile 12 mile marker towards Hilo to the T intersection of Daniel K. and Noi Highway.
Yeah, I think the average person doesn't always realize that if they get in a wreck on Saddle Road, it'll be you guys who get there first. I think that's
right.
Yep.
Yeah. And what that does is it's a quicker response. And these firefighters and police first responders have advanced medical care. And the quicker you can get that medical care to you, an emergency situation, the more likely you are to survive. And then that allows the first responders in the population centers to focus in their areas for emergencies that arise there. So we're happy to do that. And they also respond to the fires.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that as a follow-up, because that was a big deal here recently. A 60,000 acre fire was the largest fire in the history of the island. Share with us quantify the response from the PTA folks and military in general. We would not have gotten through this without the help from you guys, probably.
Well, with the fire, that largest fire in Hawaii Island history that you referenced, what was amazing to me was the community response and all the first responders that came together. And I was honored and inspired by the team and the broader community at that response. And it showed the longstanding relationships that the Pauakaloa first responders have with the community and the training activities that they do. And they were able to respond and kind of plug into the overall comprehensive effort for that fire. So what we were able to provide in that multi-day fire was our team, which is about 15 firefighters, all of our firefighting trucks and equipment, and then other members of the team volunteered, bulldozer operators. So we were able to provide four bulldozers to the fire. We provided water to fill the dip tanks. We provided lowboy tractor trailers to move those bulldozers around. And then from Oahu, Major General Ryan, the U.S. Army Hawaii and 25th Infantry Division commander, sent over 5 helicopters, 4 Blackhawks, 1 Chinook, and 7 more wildland firefighters to help fight the fire on the ground. And all told, the man hours, into the hundreds and hundreds of man hours, 80 helicopter flight hours from helicopter pilots, 250 water bucket drops for a total of 170,000 gallons of water. And so we, and the larger community effort was incredible. And so we were glad to support that.
That's terrific. That's quite a response. Amazing. What is the latest on? I mean, a lot of our listeners here are up on this issue, but what is the latest? You can give a quick recap for the lease situation and then your role specifically in getting that lease ultimately extended. And we're talking about the lease for 23,000 acres of state land that you guys are working on, right?
Correct. So there's a parcel of Pauakaloa that's leased from the state in 1964 for a 65-year lease that expires in 2029. So the Army's initiated the process to retain that land. We call it the Army Training Land Retention Process, ATLR. And it's a very important process and very important to follow the process. So where we are in that process is we are in the drafting of the environmental impact statement phase. And so the Army, is allowing that process to proceed, and the next major, or is following that process more accurately. And the next major milestone is in about spring of 2022. That draft environmental impact statement will be provided to the public for a public comment period. And we welcome the public's input and comments during that period. The more comments, in our opinion, the better, because I think it is important to the process. So please consider commenting, and we'll continue to communicate the timing of that as it gets closer.
Great. You've served so many different places. What is your overall experience? How's that informed? I guess what has it taught you about the United States and how it's viewed on the world stage? I mean, we're having all this stuff going on in the Middle East. We can get into that in a second, but what is that? How are we viewed in your view? And then what has your experience informed? How has it informed your worldview personally?
Yeah,
I hope that's not too murky of a question, but
so I mean, the expeditionary operations, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and other countries of the Middle East have defined my
Right.
military career. Since I was a junior at West Point on 9/11, when leaving military history class, when the first plane struck the World Trade Center, and so I start with the pride, in being able to serve my country, for the last 20 years in that capacity, and then all the young men and women and everyone else who served and signed up and volunteered to serve throughout the last 20 years. Really, special part of, our nation, and really proud of them. I think the United States, presence and role in the world, not just militarily, but, comprehensively is important to the world. I think that engagement, analyzed regionally should for the best approach should continue.
A lot of us are following the Afghanistan situation. You were there. How are we viewed there right now? And again, to your point, you spent a lot of time there in various
Right.
assignments. So, what's your thought on that? How are we, in general, in the region? How are we received versus the reality versus?
Right. Well, I'll say, David, it's not monolithic.
Yeah, sure.
There are lots of different sections, and people have their own different opinions. But I think a lot of people in the region see the United States as a force for good. This is the element that is allowing them an opportunity for freedom, and you see that with the developments of the last 20 years in Afghanistan, and all the incredible and brave and inspiring women who were able to, have an education and go to school and have a completely different life than they had pre-2001.
Yeah, that's powerful. So back to this community. How can our group and the greater community, what can we do to help you and your family be as settled as you can? Your mission at the PTA. What's our role in all this?
I'd just say, I continue what you're doing, David, and what the chamber is doing. The support and the open arms is and the fist bumps in the COVID era is really appreciated, and I think really important to my family and the military and the mission that we have up at Wakulla. And I always appreciate advice and counsel and suggestions. So I'd ask to continue doing that, because I think it's important to tell the story as much as we can, and try to get it to as large an audience as we can, because I think it's a great story to tell. And I want to try to reach as many people as possible, and at the same time listen to them and hear their perspective and experiences and concerns, and move forward together.
You have a 2-year appointment, right? I think Commander Borsi had a 3-year. We talked about that earlier. Is there ever wiggle room to do a longer term over here? I know the military likes to move people around because that's the way it happens, right? But
right.
Speak to that. Is that you get to request that if you feel like doing that, or is this a hard deadline for you in 2 years, and then we move on to the next commander?
Right. So traditionally, the command type assignments are 2 years, but everything's waverable, depending on the person in the chain of command that's engaged on that. So Colonel J.R. Borsi was able to be extended for a 3rd year, and I think if my commanders thought that was necessary, and it kind of it didn't have too many second and third order effects for the larger military and me personally, then it's doable.
Yeah, I was curious about that, because obviously these deadlines with the EIS and all of the stuff with the leases, it's going to fall sort of right in between,
Right.
you and the next person potentially. It would just seem that continuity. I know
Right.
that's a factor, but
yeah, I'll just add to that. Continuity is incredibly important. Like I said, maintaining the close relationships with the community is important. That's, it's challenging when, people rotate out, and I recognize that, and planning, 2-year assignment. And so doing the preparatory work now to ensure if the transition happens in summer of 2023, that we do as best a handover as possible with my successor to ensure, as much continuity as possible. But if I get extended, then all the better.
Cool. Well, at some point we'll lobby for that, because it just seems to me that continuity is so important during that critical phase of this lease extension. Personal opinion, anyway. PTA has a large role in environmental preservation up there, right? You have a dedicated staff, you have biologists. I've been through the facility where you have various artifacts, for instance, that you're preserving. Tell the folks a little bit about that side of PTA, that role, making sure that, sure, it's a training area, but making sure that you're working on preservation and conservation when that's dictated, but also just needed.
That's right, Dave. Thanks for the opportunity to highlight that. I'm really proud of the role that the team at Poakaloa plays in stewardship of both our natural resources and our cultural resources up there. And the team, we have the training mission, but then, equally important is the stewardship mission, and those aren't mutually exclusive. And the team works incredibly well together to make sure that the training can happen, but also support the stewardship of our natural and cultural resources up there. So there's a team of about 30, we call them cooperators from academic institutions that the Army has an agreement with to support that natural and cultural resource mission. And they're experts, and they work very closely with experts in their field outside of Poakaloa, not just Army. They work with the state, the county, and other federal entities to share the knowledge that they're developing up at Poakaloa and learn from them and implement that at Poakaloa. And a couple of the really neat things that they do up there from the natural perspective, I'll start with, is 25 threatened and endangered species at Poakaloa, 19 plant and 6 animal. And they're very active in preserving those species. So we have almost 40 miles of fence at Poakaloa to keep ungulates out. Sure. And if it wasn't for those fences, the species would be eaten. Yeah. So the team does that. The team does outplanting to ensure that these threatened endangered species that are found not just on Poakaloa, we plant them outside Poakaloa to kind of continue to grow. Well, we have efforts to remove invasive species and plant native Hawaiian species. And then from the cultural perspective, we continue to survey the region and protect cultural sites. And so, yeah, it's a great initiative and allows us to continue the great mission of training that we have up there.
Is the public able to tour the archive portion of PTA at all? Is that the portion where the artifacts are kept, I guess was what I'm...
Yeah, we can...
Is that open, or is it tour? Is that not normally?
It's not open to the public, but we can arrange visits. And we actually just, we got a new and improved cultural preservation container that's located at PTA that'll environmental control and backup generator type situation where we're going to move those things, our cultural artifacts, and so we're proud of that too. So if anyone's interested, please reach out and we'll try to facilitate a visit.
And then one more thing, I'm curious about this because I was up there on a tour not that long ago, and we heard a lot about the Quonset Huts, right? They're being preserved. They're going to be moved and preserved somewhere else. Is that what's happening? What's ongoing with that project? So because they're historically significant, right?
So one thing I'll add on the natural resource, we also have a greenhouse where we preserve seeds and grow the threatened, endangered plants there too. So that's another great initiative that doesn't just help Poakaloa and the Army, but helps the
yeah, I've been in there. Very impressive. Yeah, very impressive.
Great team. And so for the Quonset Huts, I mean, when you drive on Daniel K. and Noe Highway, you see the construction ongoing. And those Quonset Huts were built, shortly after the Korean War, and they've been there for a while. So I'll have to get back to you on the.
Yeah, I didn't mean to throw you for a loop, but I was thinking about it as I was just reflecting on that tour that I took up there, and we were told at the time that those are historically significant because of when they were built, and there was some effort to bring some of them maybe back to the mainland to be preserved somewhere. I didn't know if.
Yeah,
not as important as the other stuff we've addressed, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
So, I'm about out of questions. I want to throw you one. I want to know what you're proudest about in your military career. Tell us what maybe personal achievement, milestone in your career, a certain promotion in your career, or a tour that you did as an assignment. What would you share with us there?
Well, yeah, thanks. That's a great question, David. Sometimes you run so fast from assignment to assignment, day to day. You don't take an opportunity to step back and reflect on those types of questions, which are really important to do. So thanks for that opportunity. I'd say generally, I've been incredibly proud when I've had the opportunity to work with great teams deployed in dangerous situations, and especially leading units of our nation's men and women who I talked to before, who volunteered to serve. And that's I'm proud. It's an incredible responsibility, and seeing these young volunteers serving their country and the willingness to serve and sacrifice is really a proud moment for me. Many times I've been fortunate to lead units in combat from the lieutenant through to the major level in my career. And then I'll just add, just drew a blank on my last point, but lots of really great missions and experiences. But when I was in Syria and played a role in defeating the caliphate in its capital in Raqqa, that was a proud moment to defeat those people there.
Yeah, that's powerful. I feel accomplished when I run a 5K, and I can't even imagine that's some serious stuff there, taking that responsibility. I am out of questions. Anything else you want to share with us, share with the business community, the little screens there, the little Zooms? Anything else you want to share, say, comment?
No, thanks, David. Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. These are fantastic questions. I really enjoyed our time together. And I just add, I mentioned earlier, please reach out if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I'm available to you, and I just really appreciate everything that you all do, and the chamber does, and the broader community does to support the team up at Poakaloa, our mission there, and the military. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. I know our audience appreciates it. Thank you for your participation in the chamber. You've been great. You've been on a couple of our fun ones, the whiskey thing we mentioned. Appreciate that. With that, I think we're done. Anything, Miles, that I need to deal with or contend with? Okay. I got the thumbs up from the boss. It must mean it's time to wrap up. Thank you guys for participating today. I'm again staring at the little screen. I should be looking over here. Thank you all for joining us. We'll wrap it up a little bit early. I do want a quick shout out to our team here in the back, Taylor and Jace Takase, who's helping us with the Jace Takase. I gave you a new last name. Who's helping us with the superb audio, video, lighting. It's really cool. He's really great at that. Thank you, members, for joining us. We'll see you at the next one, and have a good Friday, TGIF.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.